Hey toy fans, D21 Beast Rob here, back with another Masher review for you guys here today. And today we're going to be looking at a trio of figures I've had a lot of trouble tracking down. I've been to Toys R Us, I've been to Walmart, I've been to Meijer, I've been to Target. None of those stores for the last several weeks have had any of these Masher figures available. No, it was actually a Walgreens that I happened to be at by chance recently, where I finally found Daredevil, Nova, and the Winter Soldier Masher figures. Now, I've been anxious to check these guys out for a while, so instead of doing individual reviews for each figure, I thought why not take a look at all three in the same video. As you can see here, the packaging for these Masher figures is very similar to what we've seen before. We have the window box packaging with the figure and the accessories featured inside. We've got the name for the figures on the right-hand side of the box, and on the lower left side of the box, we've got a mashed up hero, and then the logo for the toy line, Marvel Superhero Mashers. The backside of each one of these packagings does feature an image of the hero inside, mashed up with other figures from the line, and then on the right-hand side of the packaging, we do have a preview of those other figures available from this toy line. Alright, toy fans, well that's the packaging. Let's get the Man Without Fear, the Human Rocket, and the Timeless Assassin out of the packaging and see what they're all about. Alright, toy fans, so here we have these three Mashers out of the packaging, and right off the bat, let's talk about the accessories. Nova, as you see here, actually has a plasma blast that's permanently affixed to his hand that does not come off. I kind of wish it did actually snap onto the bottom of his hand, though. Daredevil's got a set of billy clubs. I really love the swoosh effect on this one, but sadly being a Masher figure, the articulation doesn't really allow you to get the dynamic pose you'd like to be able to do that an effect like this truly deserves. Then the Winter Soldier is actually coming with a sort of red gun that nicely has a peg on the side of it, so you can actually holster it to his back like you would want a machine gun or futuristic gun or whatever that is mounting to an action figure. It of course though does have a plug on the bottom, and it does fit nicely into his one open hand. You can just slide it into the side here. It is a bit large for the figure though, and sadly gives him a tendency to want to fall over. But that fault could also be associated with one of my complaints about the Winter Soldier Masher figure specifically, his hip joints. They are actually really loose on this figure out of the packaging, not very solid at all. So when I try to stand the figure up, his legs have a tendency to want to spread on their own, so it's just kind of frustrating. I don't have that same issue with Daredevil or Nova, and this is probably, again, just isolated to this Winter Soldier figure, but it's worth noting, and you may run into that yourself. Really, this particular Masher figure just feels a little more cheap than we're used to seeing. And honestly, while it's kind of hard to explain in a video, the Daredevil and the Nova Masher figures also feel a bit cheap as well. Looking at Nova, you'll see that he actually has a brand new sculpted head like the Masher figures typically do, but he's got a very sort of light, almost soft like plastic for the head. It's very marbleized. It's kind of hard for me to see the eyes, and I wish they would have done a darker shade of gold for this head sculpt overall. Coming down the figure though, we do have a light sort of marbleized blue plastic with gold paint applications applied all around the figure. It is worth noting that this appears to be a 100% brand new sculpt for this Nova Masher figure, which is nice because typically Marvel Mashers tend to reuse pieces from previous Mashers in the line. Coming up the back of the figure, you can see that those colors have been maintained on the reverse side as well. Daredevil had to be a pretty cost-effective figure for Hasbro to make. The only paint applications are the Double D logo on his chest and then the eyes and the actual face of the figure. The backside of the figure doesn't have any paint applications whatsoever, but this also appears to be completely brand new sculpt, except for maybe the biceps, I'm not sure, and maybe the upper thighs as well. But we do have some brand new pieces sculpted for the lower part of the leg, the forearm here. The weapons are brand new, of course, and the head is brand new, and then even the torso is new. They could have reused that, but they didn't. They give us a torso that's actually got sculpted pouches on it, which is a nice touch. But otherwise on the back, like I said, pretty plain figure. But despite the plainness, I actually think he's my favorite figure of the three. Lastly, we have the Winter Soldier figure, and this is the one I like the least of the three. And not because of the hip joints I've already mentioned, but it's just because this doesn't really look like Winter Soldier to me. True, he's got the metal arm, and I like that he has the star painted on the shoulder, that's a nice touch. And every part of him appears to be a brand new sculpt, but with the way that they've made the hair really short, I think that the face sculpt is actually much older looking than Winter Soldier needs to look. And given the generic color scheme for the figure, which I can't really fault Hasbro for, that is comic accurate, but really at the end of the day, he looks more to me like a comedian Masher figure than he actually does a Winter Soldier figure. An issue that I think could have been avoided if they didn't give him such a strained neck and older looking face, and if they'd actually given him long hair. I can't think of a single Winter Soldier comic book story I've read where he didn't have shoulder length hair. Now for those of you new to Masher figures and wondering what the fuss is all about, Mashers are actually a figure line that allows you to separate your figure at the head joint, the elbow joint, the hip joint, and the knee joint, and mix them with other figures in the line. So after a quick edit, you can see here there's plenty of options out there to come up with your own costume vigilante or rogue assassin. And of course, the more figures you have from this toy line, the more endless your customizable options are going to be. Articulation and height on these Masher figures is the same among the trio, so for the purpose of this review, let's take a look at Daredevil. He's got a head joint that'll actually bend down not so far, back all the way, rotates all the way around. Forward rotation here at the arm, does not bend out from the body. Forward rotation at the elbow, bends forward that far, bends back only about that far. No finger wrist articulation, no ab crunch or waist swivel. Ball jointed hip that bends forward that far, bends back all the way, bends out from the body pretty far. rotates all the way around at the ball joint, and then he's got a knee joint that also rotates all the way around, as well as bending down that far and back about that far, and that completes the articulation. So like we saw with most Mashers released in 2015, a definite downgrade from where these figures started, but as of right now, it's the same range of articulation we've come to expect from most figures in this line. Height-wise, we can see Daredevil comes in right at 6 inches tall. For some size comparison, here he is compared to the Mashers Darth Vader, and here he is compared to his most recent Marvel Legends counterpart. And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine.
So, I hear your pops was a boxer.
That's right. But I actually find myself more a fan of professional wrestling anymore these days.
Ho, you don't say. Who's your favorite wrestler? John Cena?
No, actually. It's no fun for me when he's in a match.
And, why is that exactly?
Because I can't see him.
Walked into that one.
Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Mashers, Winter Soldier, Daredevil, and Nova figures released by Hasbro in 2015. Or maybe actually early 2016, I'm not really sure what the street date for these figures was. But overall, I do feel like these Masher figures rate anywhere between meh and okay. There's nothing especially great about this set. I think Daredevil's the best of the three, and I definitely think Winter Soldier's the worst. Really though, at the end of the day, I have to consider how easy it was to find these guys and where I eventually ended up picking them up. While Target, Meijer, and Walmart all would have sold these guys to me for $9.99, I had to pick them up at a Walgreens where I paid $11.99 a figure. So if that's the only place you can find these guys, and you know that you don't want to skip any of them outright, I'm gonna say go ahead and wait till you can find them on sale. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Which figure of the three do you think you'd want to pick up? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, feel free to give me a like and share this video with your friends. It really helps me out. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at D21Beast, and I'll see you guys next time.